Hey everyone, I am Tribal Instincts, and I just got done streaming The Gallery Episode 1 and Episode 2 back to back, and wow, that was amazing. So I had never played Episode 1 before. Okay, I streamed like 15 minutes of it whenever the Vive, like the day that the Vive launched, I did this big live stream, and I haven't played it since. I regret not playing that before. So this review is primarily going to be on the Gallery Episode 2, the Heart of the Emberstone. However, this is also going to be touching on some elements of the first. Now, also, there is a pretty massive spoiler in the existence of Episode 2. So if you know anything about Episode 2, it kind of gives away stuff from Episode 1. So if you haven't played it yet and you intend to, please, please, trust me whenever I say, stop watching this video right now, go play Episode 1 first, and then you can come back and then you can watch this review, okay? I don't want to spoil something. What makes Episode 1 amazing, like absolutely jaw-dropping amazing, is spoiled by the existence of this video, okay? So now that I've said that, give me a quick second to go ahead and close this video if you haven't watched it. Okay. Anybody that's still here, you have either already played Episode 1 or you don't care about spoilers. In either case, here we go. So, Episode 1, let's start there first, right? So, again, I regret not playing this earlier. It was fantastic. So from start to finish, like as you know, you start on the beach and you go through a very, very linear progression through the story. Now, most of the puzzles are not exactly like mentally stimulating, right? There, with the exception of one, there was like the circuit board puzzle. That one is fantastic, okay? I very much enjoyed that one. It really, I don't know, it was actually more of a logical puzzle versus the others were just sort of, I don't know, it was a pretty obvious do this thing. Now, almost all of the puzzles in both of the games actually did a fantastic job of not just being kind of roadblocks that you just kind of have to do, or not being a puzzle kind of in its own little world. It was part of the main storyline. So I loved that about both Episode 1 and Episode 2, with a few exceptions. Like the first one, the 3 bells puzzle, like that one really felt out of place to me. You had to do something that didn't really make a whole lot of sense, and how did it even trigger the thing to drop? Like that part doesn't make sense to me. Most of the other puzzles, though, were fantastic. So Episode 1 was, well, I mean, it was just probably the best thing that could have been launched for the Vive. Like, I totally understand it now. It is one of the most visually stimulating games that I've played yet. It was the voice acting. Good gosh. The acting in this game, the voiceovers, like, that is what sells it. Like, everything about it was so incredibly immersive, and it just felt great being inside of it. Now, I'm happy that they had the concept of Blink way back then, because everybody was still getting their VR legs and figuring things out. However, I will admit that it kind of got a little bit tedious after a while. I don't really care for it. So moving on into the Episode 2's concepts, and this is kind of like, I'll probably be going back and forth because really it was all one thing in my mind. But Episode 2, they give you a lot more locomotion options, right? You're able to, actually probably the most customization I've seen so far in a VR game. You're able to use like the onward style locomotion, like you can tweak it to where it feels exactly the same. You can change how fast it is or make it slower. Or you can use the standard, like, you know, arc to teleport or like point, or you can use the same blink that they had in Episode 1. So props there. So in Episode 1, that did kind of get a little bit tedious after a while, and the game it is a very linear thing. However, it felt less like a video game and more of just an interactive story. And my gosh, did they do a great job on that. The ending, like the power, like it felt so good. I hate the fact that this is the first time I've played it. A year and a half after the stupid thing launched, I finally actually go in and play it. So I am that said, I can also see why, like, it's actually a good thing that I didn't, because the ending of Episode 1 felt amazing. I would have been heartbroken had I not been able to play Episode 2. But so, I don't know, there's trade-offs in both ways. So, moving on to Episode 2. You've already played Episode 1. If you haven't, do it. It's amazing. This is primarily on Episode 2. So, like I said, they fixed some of the locomotion things. Like, it feels good moving around the area. And like Episode 1, all of the puzzles, again, mostly, felt very organic and just like natural to the story of the game. They weren't just roadblocks, they were actually there and they progressed the story and it told you more about this world. Now, I have mixed feelings about some of the other storytelling things. So their voice acting, superb, right? It's absolutely fantastic. I love it. They still did great voice acting in this one. However, they relied more on reading to sort of progress some of the storyline elements. Now, arguably, I mean, some of the side story, but still, it would have been nice to have included this. In this, what seems to be a highly advanced area, or race, or, well, I don't know, there's some trade-offs there too. So it seems like instead of having a holographic projection up where I'm reading text, I would have probably liked for them to have read it to me as well, just because their storytelling is fantastic. And this one, they had a mix of the tapes to give you the clues, as well as the actual, text holographic projections to give that along. So both those were good. But in addition to the tapes that were in the first one and the text that you can read, they also had holographic sort of memories, which I don't actually quite understand how those things existed or where they got there, how they got there, or what triggered them. Like, it kind of, like, this actually really didn't fit into what I understood of the game. I'm assuming it is like part of a link between bloodlines, but that's just a guess. There's really nothing to back it up. But anyway, so these projections, you're able to see pieces of the past, specifically interactions between your sister as well as a brother and sister of this ancient civilization, namely Sebastian and Sarah. And you're able to see their interactions over the course, and that gives you some clues, and it just progresses the story, which again continues to be amazing. So take away from this that storytelling for this studio is where they belong, okay? The story is awesome. Now, back again to the puzzles. Most of them are, and this actually pretty much encompasses both of the games, most of them are kind of obvious. You pretty much know what you need to do almost whenever you've seen it. And again, most of them kind of play into the story. With the exception of a really annoying thing where in episode 2, to open doors for the first time, you have to do this like weird thing where you have to like move your hand and like avoid obstacles and get it through a tube. And it just felt like a weird like bar game. I told myself I was going to record this in one go, and here we have the phone call. Give me just 1 second. Hey, hi. I am currently recording. How important is this phone call?
I didn't know you were recording.
It's okay. Can I call you back?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Love you. Bye. I told myself I was going to do this in one call, so sorry. That was my wife. She's on her way home. So, anyway, back to this. Where was I? Oh, yeah, the weird barroom game that was to unlock doors. It really just didn't make any sense to me. And so for that is the only thing that I found to be an annoying puzzle, and it just didn't make sense. So apart from that, the puzzles were incredibly satisfying. Again, nothing too incredibly complicated. The end goal seems pretty obvious right away. But again, that's not the point of this. If you're looking for like a complicated, like mind-bending puzzle game, this is not it. Play this for the story. That's what it is. And the puzzles, they're there to add to the experience, and it does definitely progress things more and more. So again, the review for this game, to sum it up, is this is probably one of the most interesting stories that I've seen in a video game ever. I'm trying to think if there's anything that beats. I'm sure there are, but for me personally, most games that I've played in the past, story has sort of been like kind of like the sideline thing. I like more of the action. I read books if I want really good story, or I watch a movie if I want a really good story. Whenever I play video games, it's to actually play a video game. At least that's how it has been. VR changes that. VR absolutely changes that. The story, especially when told like this, mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. Like, this was so fascinating from start to finish. I absolutely loved it. Now, one drawback. Remember how I said the ending of episode 1 felt amazing? Well, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to tell you what it is. However, I will give the disclaimer that it is somewhat anticlimactic, and it doesn't feel complete. The first one, it felt like a good stopping point, right? It felt like you accomplished a goal, and then cool, that was it. And now you don't know what's next, really. This one, though, yes, you feel like you accomplished a goal, but that goal wasn't obvious until like the last 5 minutes, and it wasn't the goal that you wanted. Okay, so that does kind of spoil it. I'm sorry, but just know that you will kind of be a little bit dissatisfied with the ending of this, and that is the only thing that really takes away from the experience. Everything else about it, everything else was awesome. The powers, the gloves, the things that you get, the things that you're able to do and unlock, and the power that it grants you and the things that you're doing with it, awesome. Everything was integrated into the puzzles, fantastic. And that's pretty much all the rambling I think I can do on this particular review. Now, I'm sorry if this came off as kind of rushed, but there's not a whole lot of really structured like review content that I can put on this, except for me just gushing about it because I had such a fun time. Now, price. This game right now for the bundled pack is $45. That's a pretty significant amount of money for 2 titles combined that I was able to combined beat in less than, I think it was like 4 hours and some change for how long it took me to go through both episode 1 and episode 2. Episode 1 I beat in about an hour and 10 or so, and then the remainder of that time was for episode 2. So the dollar amount to how much time you get is not strong. So in pretty much all evaluations of like cost versus entertainment, I kind of look at a movie. If I go to the theater and watch, like, let's say a 3D movie, it's like $15-16 for the ticket, and then popcorn, drink, or whatever. So it typically is at least $20 per person to get into a 3D movie. This was not just a 3D movie. This was, excuse me, this was a 3D immersive thing that you lived through, okay? So for me, I am more willing to pay $20 for a immersive VR story thing than I am for a non-immersive 3D or flat screen or even a 3D movie. To an extent, most VR games that is not the case, right? Because the story is not strong enough. This, however, this trumps. Okay, I can't. That's too strong of a word. Okay, but this is up there with a lot of the movies that I've seen in terms of story quality. Absolutely fantastic. So for me. Except whenever I die. I'm so sorry, guys. So for me, this particular game is about worth it. I wish that the price would have been about maybe $10 less, and I wish that there had been a more satisfying conclusion to it. However, I can still absolutely recommend this. It was such a satisfying experience. I loved it. I just really want the next one to come out like, yesterday so I can keep going through with it. I really hope that for the next one, they do another bundled package and keep it around the same price point for all of them, because then we have some serious value. I'm okay spending like $20 a year to continue the story. That just seems to make sense. However, at the end of it all, I don't want to pay like $150 for the entire gameplay. So I'm hoping that they release a new episode and then do a bundle package, and so that way, over the next few years, we can get a really cool, interesting VR story. And that's it. That is, I don't know what the reception of this particular style of review is. I don't know if me taking a phone call in the middle of it, short as it was, or the coughing that I had to do is going to completely annoy you people. If it has, drop me a comment telling me Tribal stop being lazy and do it the old-fashioned proper way of making a video. Or if you just don't care, then this saves me like 5 hours worth of editing one of these videos. So guys, let me know what you think of both the games and also this particular video. Let me know if you found it helpful. And that's all I gotta say. Guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been so much fun. I love this game. Huge props to the developers of both the Gallery Episode 1 and the Gallery Episode 2. Fantastic. Please, just make the next one already, okay? Give it to me now. That was so great. All right, guys, I'm done for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button below. If you didn't, hit the downvote button and tell me what I can do to make them better. And if you want to see more, hit subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.